Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server. We are with our brute, Quintessence Lass, who is level 20 and has 136,000 XP earned. And guys, I apologize. I think we're being ambushed here. We're in the middle of a mission. We're doing this mission for Doc Delilah. She's asking us to find clues about a dead hero named Akashi Knight. We were just in the tunnels dealing with some Sky Raiders who had stolen his body, and we managed to get his body back from them, and you guys missed it. I almost got beat by Sky Raiders. I accidentally aggroed 3 yellow spawns at once, and one of them managed to pull a deflector shield generating one of their little deflector shield generators, and I almost got my butt completely kicked. I redlined. I didn't die, but I got close. And you didn't get to see it. I actually recorded it, but I had apparently pressed the mute button on the side of my headphones. It's on the back of the left headphone, and I guess I was adjusting the volume of the headphone, and I accidentally touched the mute button, and so I was talking away into the microphone, and nobody could hear it because it was muted. So I apologize for that. You've only missed one short mission. Means I'll play a little longer today. I don't mind that. We are going to be facing some endurance issues because we've got 3 toggles running, and I think I'm actually going to turn the new toggle off and just leave it off until we can get some endurance reducers in there. It might be off until level 22 unless we're facing like a boss or something, as you can see. Our endurance is getting really chowed on. So we need to find and defeat an enemy leader, find Akashi Knight's desk, where he's potentially hidden some information. What we're trying to do is find a better recording of the fault line video than the one that Jim Tembler had us find, because it's pretty grainy and it's incomplete. So Dr. Lila wants a better one, and she thinks there's a better one in Akashi Knight's possession, or he has clues to where a better one can be found. So we're looking for it. So the first thing we had to do was find out where his base was, because I guess his base was kept secret. So somehow, by finding his body, she figured out where his base was. And so now we're just going through, I guess this was his old base, and looking for clues. So as we go through, there's been a fun little, I don't know, blow up or whatever on the D&D Beyond forum, where I guess, so let's sort of back up, and I've talked about this, I believe, it might have been all the way back while Tiger Strike was being played, or it might have been Nightmare Lass, I'm not really sure, but I talked about the fact that they are making some changes to how quote-unquote race is constituted in Dungeons and Dragons. So let's go back to the beginning and talk about how race is constituted in D&D. In Dungeons and Dragons, what they call a race is what you and I, under normal circumstances in the world of Earth, would call a species. Elves, dwarves, gnomes, they're not humans, right? They have different traits that humans don't have, like gnomes can live to be 400 or 500 years old, which humans can't. We die by the time we're about 100. Elves have innate magic. Certain gnomes can automatically cast illusions. Humans can't do that by birth. Tieflings have horns. Aarakocra are bird people with hollow bones and wings. So they're obviously not humans, and they are different humanoid species. But unfortunately, and I'm not sure really why he did this, I don't believe Tolkien actually referred to the races as races, but I could be wrong about that. So maybe it's because of Tolkien, maybe it's because of Vancian magic, I'm not really sure. But originally D&D defined these other humanoid species as races rather than species. And they are really species, not races. And so, because they've defined them as races, there are people today who think that if you give all of the races a racial characteristic, that it is somehow equivalent to racist beliefs in the world, right? The racist belief that someone may have that races of humans in our real world have sort of immutable characteristics like being inherently smart or stupid. This is stuff that the eugenicists and the social Darwinists used to believe, and it's generally considered bad to be in that camp in the real world because that's where racism comes from, right? But an orc is not just a human. An orc is an evil creature that was created by an evil god named Grumsh, and its purpose is to conquer the non-orc world. And so they plunder and they do evil things, and they're pretty nasty. And there's an elite boss over there, so we gotta watch out. And we'll sweep the room. But because orcs have characteristics that remind people of some of the negative characteristics that are attributed to various races by other races, and in the Western world, it might be what Caucasians attribute to other races, but I guarantee you, if you went to other countries and place other cultures, they would say the same things about Caucasians that Caucasians say about them, because that's the way human culture works. I always remember an anthropology professor of mine saying that most people's names for themselves in their own language means people. And if you are not a member of the X, say, tribe, if you're not X, it means you're not a person. You don't count as a human being to them. The only humans are the members of X, right? And so that's just very, very common in the world of Earth. But it's got nothing to do with orcs, right? Orcs are a totally different species. But because Gary Gygax called them races, people think that attributing these kind of characteristics to orcs, and I'm losing endurance because I forgot to switch to combat jump, is a form of racism. And so this is all sort of the preamble to the fact that now in recent months, D&D has started saying that the racial characteristics that they used to have published, first of all, they're not calling them races anymore, they're calling them legacies or something, or lineages. And the racial characteristics, such as an elf having extra intelligence or dexterity, are no longer part of the game because that's racist. And so, and of course, it makes it quote unquote more options, so that if you're an elf and you want to play somebody strong and dumb rather than smart and dexterous, you can play an elf and still get plus Constitution and minus Dex or whatever. Which, of course, you could have house ruled as a DM anyway, but now they've sort of put it into the rules as a default that no races get any default pluses or minuses to their attributes. They've now come out with a new thing saying, they recently came out with Tasha's Cauldron, which said you can move them around if you want. The default is, elves get +2 this and +1 that. But if you want to move the +2 from Dex to Wisdom or something, you can. Now what they're saying is everybody just gets +2 to one thing and +1 to another, I think. And whichever one you want is up to you, and it doesn't have anything to do with race, and it's totally irrelevant. And so somebody made a post about how this is the greatest thing to ever happen to D&D, and there's a huge flame war going on about it now. So if you want to be entertained, read the D&D Beyond forum. It's going to be a very active thread, and I'm sure there are going to be some bannings and some forum moderators, because the forum moderators are all in favor of this, and they like to forum moderate the people who are opposed to it. I'm opposed to it, but I've been able to write carefully enough that I haven't gotten any bans or suspensions. But one person already did, and he PM'd me, private messaged me, and said, I agree with you, but I can't post because I've been banned. Okay, so we're going to have to fight this elite boss. I wasn't expecting an elite boss in here, but we should be okay. We'll put on our extra defense. We do have some endurance. We're going to try to take this Arachnobot out really fast. And of course he has stupid little helpers. This is the guy we fought before, wasn't it? Sans. Alright, we're going to have to just try to take out him and see if we can get his buddies in the AoE so that we can keep focusing on him. For example, we can fire off Consumption. Try to get them both. Our Fury should be very high here. Yeah, it's going up really high. He's pretty much got no chance against us at this point. We got him. And that's what summoned minions are supposed to do, is disappear when the guy dies. Alright, now we need to click on the desk. And we got a clue. Kaji Knight's hidden cache. So he had modified his desk with a hidden cache. It was still intact, and the key to his super base is there, but there was much more too. There's a spare costume, a case book, a date planner, and a spare copy of his city ID card and notes on his latest cases, and a hero gear catalog from the year Overbrook was destroyed. Sobering to think that all of this is what remains of his double life. So we're going to go to Agent G, who's over here in the dam. I think it might have been cool if they had done something like Lord of the Rings Online did with this game. And after you finish, progress through the story arcs, you move to versions of Fault Line Zone that are more and more repaired until after you finish all of the story arc, you just get to Overbrook and it's all fixed. That would be kind of cool, and like you're helping them fix it. But yeah, they never. I don't know if they were going to do something like that, but it would have been really cool if they did, I think. That would have been a neat use of all the hazard zones, that you start with them being the full hazard zone, and little by little as you progress through the story arcs of the zone, you get to more and more repaired versions of the zone until after you've done everything, you get to go to the nice version of the zone where it's a lot less dangerous. And it wouldn't matter that there aren't a lot of enemies and it's not that dangerous, because now you're at the top of the zone's level anyway and you won't be leveling in there anymore. I think that would have been pretty cool. But anyway, Agent G says, "Greetings, Quintessence, alas. You can call me Agent G. I'm glad you brought this to me. It puts a name to our opponent, Arbiter Sands. We've been trying to find out why Arachnos is here and what they're planning. Right now, all we know for certain is they're having trouble with the Sky Raiders. It's slowed them down, but it's also made them tighten security, and it's harder for us to find out what they're really up to. PCM. I wonder. I suggest you keep working with Dr. Stein for a moment. She's trustworthy. She's also onto something I've suspected for some time. I may ask for your assistance later, so I'll send a message to you through her. Thank you again for your assistance." All right, so that's pretty good. Now we're going to talk to Doc, and she says, "Arachnos is mixed up in this? Well, now I should have known. I am so glad you spoke with Agent G. He's a good man for a government type. So, this is Akashi Knight's cache. Let me see it. All of these things hidden in his desk, an entire hero's life, and this is all that's left. Oh well. Let's not get too gloomy. Leonard P. Conway did a lot of good in his life, and now this may help to save many other lives. And if I'm right, clear someone's name as well. We'll just have to get the proof before the Sky Raiders and the Arachnos do. This is all getting downright crazy, but it's not over yet. I am just greatly relieved that I have someone dependable as you to help me." Now it's the finale, so we may have to go back to her and get some inspirations, because I think we may be fighting Sands again. "I put together all the clues you've recovered, but I do believe that I've found the location of Akashi Knight's old base. However, I'm afraid we're not the only ones the Sky Raiders have figured out that there's something important in that building, and they already are on their way there. Hidden in that office building is the truth behind the fault line incident, but all those Sky Raiders see is a hidden base to plunder. Quintessence / you've got to stop them. I hope you're ready for this. A prize like an unplugged base might be enough to bring out one of their leaders." So we're looking for our recordings of the fault line incident. And I'm going to go back to her, actually, because I think we want to inspiration up. Wait, did I end up out the wrong side? I ended up on the wrong side. Yeah, it should not have put that. It should not put that there. That's not the right place. I don't think, or is it? Well, it doesn't matter. We got to go back out the other way. Unless there's somebody we can buy them from in here. Maybe we can. No, that is a vendor for inspirations. Does he have a store? No. Does this guy have a store? Nope. So we have to go under this, and we may have to go that way, but I'm going to pause it here and go get some inspirations, and I'll bring you guys back when we're at the mission door. Okay, folks, we're back. The mission door is right here near Dock Delilah. It's on this boat. Let's switch to combat jumping, and I overshot it anyway. There we go. Alright, so now we have our extra toggle in case we fight the boss. We've got our tray of inspirations. And now we have to beat up Sky Raiders. And there is Dock Delilah. So I think I'm going to beat these guys up first, and then I'll get her after I've beaten up everybody so she doesn't cause trouble. Cool, look at the gulls flying past the camera. That's really cool. I have to say, guys, they did a really, really nice job on the visuals in this game. Even now, all these years later, it looks so good. And the sounds, you can hear the gulls, you hear the like clanging of the boat bells and stuff. No, 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 I missed that guy. That stinks. I didn't see him there. Time to beat up this thing. Gotten a lot of salvage. We've gotten a few enhancements. Oh, the endurance one might help. Let's take this guy out and then we'll see if we can use it. So this is endurance, right? We can put that on power shield and drop the drain a little bit. So it'll help us a little bit. Much better when it's SOs. Let's see, can we go up? I'm just cleaning this whole thing out before we bring Doc up here, so she doesn't drive me nuts with the aggroing. That's good. This Inferno Raider. Oh, is that an engineer? Okay, it's not. Just double checking. Okay. And that is the way in. So let's go get Doc. Head down through the elevator. I'll go grab her. And she should be fine now to come with us. Look at that. That is a nice double hit. And now we should be able to get her clear into the base. Now, whether she's going to live through the base, I don't know. Typically, she dies, often against Arbiter Sands or whoever it is that's in here as the boss. It's very hard to protect her because she's even dumber than most of the other NPCs. But I think we might be pretty good, at least at the early part of this stage. It's really going to be at the end of the base that she's going to be more of the problem. I also have the ability to draw aggro if I do this Dark Consumption, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to, like... I know my character's a hero, but I'm not going to have her... I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to die with the Dark Consumption just to save Dr. Lila from her own stupidity. I mean, don't be stupid. Speaking of that, back to D&D, or actually just role-playing games. There was a DM who posted that all but one of his players just seems not to pay attention. They're always on their phones. How do I get them off their phones and to pay attention? He said they like combat, they pay attention during combat, but as soon as combat ends and they're referring to lore, these players just don't seem to care. And they just get right on their cell phones. And so we were talking about, what you can do about that. And I said, look, my feeling is I don't sort of just like tell my players lore. If they look for it, they'll discover it, but I don't just sit there and narrate it to them. And he said, well, neither do I. But he said they really just, when we start going over the lore, the one player likes it and all the other players just sort of start using their cell phone while the investigator player is being all lore-y and enjoying the content. And he said the main thing that happens then is a lot of times like, so what I said is, look, if it matters, they should care. And he said, well, what happens is they aren't listening when the lore is being talked about, and then when it matters, 5 sessions later, I have to tell them what the lore is because they don't remember because they weren't taking notes, they weren't paying attention. And I mean, this happens sometimes. My feeling on this is, if you're not paying attention, you don't find out what happens. I mean, like, I'm not going to remind you of the lore most of the time. Now, sometimes a player may ask, remember that map we discovered back in this dungeon? Does this new map look like it's part of that map? And then I'll say, sure, I'm happy to talk about that. But if you're going to ignore the lore, then, oh well. And so then he said, well, what do I do? Because, like, they need the lore, right? Sometimes they, like, if they don't remember the lore, they're not going to be able to complete the task or what have you. I said, well, then they're not going to be able to complete the task. I think one of the reasons that his players don't pay attention to the lore, where is she? One of the reasons his players may not be paying attention to the lore is that they don't need to. That he's there to be a crutch for them. And they know that. They know that if they don't remember the lore, if they don't pay attention, he'll just give them cliff notes on it. So that leaves them free to let the player who's really invested do all the talking and learn all the lore and the secrets, and they can be on their cell phones paying no attention, and then when the time comes, either he or the DM will fill them in. And I said, well, if it's me, I wouldn't fill them in. I'd say, well, what do you remember? It's like, well, I don't remember. My character might. Well, if you want to remember, pay attention. Unless the character has, like, the keen mind feat, which is something that allows them to have near perfect recall. You remember what your character remembered. I'm not going to, like, give them a skill roll to remember stuff if they are explicitly and deliberately not paying attention to the content. Right? It's one thing if they're really trying. Like, one of my players has a bit of a learning disability, and sometimes she'll ask me, what were the names of these guys? The nature of her learning disability is such that she cannot take notes during a session. She just can't. And she was actually somebody who, when she was in college, and maybe high school as well, she had to have a note taker in the class, right? She had a disability accommodation. She's very intelligent. She's got a doctorate. She's a very smart person, but she just can't both listen to what's going on in the room and take notes effectively. She'll just get completely lost. She concentrates so much on taking the notes that she gets completely lost in what's being said. And so she doesn't take notes so that she can pay attention to what's going on. But then at the end of the session, sometimes she doesn't remember the proper names and stuff like that. So I'm perfectly willing to fill her in on that kind of thing because I know she's trying to pay attention. And there's our elite boss right at the entrance. Right at the entrance. So are we going to be screwed on this? We don't have a raider engineer. We can try to do a pull. Alright, well I guess we're going to pull him. And run back. Now that might be far enough. Alright, we're going to need double accuracies. We're going to have to take out this force field generator because neither I nor Doc will be able to hit while this thing is going. Okay, now we got him. Captain Castillo. You know, I forgot I could have thrown in the little clockworks too. We got very lucky. Nobody else came over but him. There we go. And the mission's complete. Well, we're going to sweep this room. But we should not be losing Doc at this point. Because all we have left are white cons. And she should be tough enough for that. I think this may be the first time I've done this mission and had Delilah survive. And it's all based on where he spawns. We got lucky enough that she didn't, like, end up running into the room on me and getting herself ganged up on by all these guys. Right, we can take him out one spawn at a time. We took the elite boss out all by himself, which is absolutely perfect. And the rest of these guys are just not tough enough in a spawn of 2 or 3 to defeat her. Did I get him fast enough? Nope. See if we can get this thing. Oh wow, we are really out of endurance. And we didn't even use our extra toggle. It's just pouring out the damage that fast is tough on the endurance. We don't need all these greens. Alright, we've cleared this place of Sky Raiders, and we're going to head out. Doc should be happy. Okay, so we need to go where? Show Jim Templar the truth. Ah, right. So, the clue says... so this is actually really important, so let's stop here and read this, because this is actually a really important part. We've seen how this video ends before, but Dr. Lilac has skipped straight to the missing beginning. It's the same scene, only with sound this time. You recognize Akashi Knight there, and Delilah points out that the other villain with that strange widget is Psycurse. As Psychic Gadgeteer, Psycurse is holding up the device and cackling. Faultline looks like he's in agony, and everyone looks confused. Confused, Psycurse laughs. Your tiny minds can barely comprehend the power of my Psycho-Chronometron. What's wrong, shouts Akashi Knight. You fiend, what did you do? My psychochronometron allows me to turn psionic energy into temporal energy. I can use my mind to alter history itself, as I have just done. And now he who was once Faultline, my greatest foe, is now Faultline, my staunchest ally. Faultline clambers to his feet, stunned, as a young Jim Tembler runs out from behind Blue Steel to grab his father's ring. What's going on? Gasps Faultline. Now, Faultline, my new ally, use your earthquake machines. Psychurst shouts, destroy this base while we escape to begin your new life of crime. Earthquake machines, what are you talking about? Faultline's face contorts with pain. What did you do? The feedback, I can't control it. And the rest plays out as we've seen before. So now we know that Faultline was a hero, but somehow Psychurst changed the past to make him a villain, even though he used to be a hero using the Psychochronometron. Which, by the way, is a very cool name. Psychochronometron. Quintessence Slash, you're lucky you caught up to me. Fusionette and I were going to visit Blue Steel later. She talked me into getting my ID card. I can't be afraid of myself forever, you know? What? This is the full recording? I'm not sure I really want to see it, but no, I need to. I remember Psychurst. I never knew why Dad worked with him. Oh my, no, this is it. I can't. Shut it off, please. I can't stand it. I knew it was all wrong, but this. Oh, Dad, what did he do to you? I need to. Quintessence Last, promise me this. If that thing, this psycho thing, is still out there, destroy it. You've got to destroy it. Thank you. I needed to see this. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we talk to Delilah, and she says, I had always entertained a suspicion. Here we go. That something was wrong with the whole story of the fault line incident. Like why William Tembler was helping heroes like Akashi Knight and Blue Steel even while they were fighting against him and his old partner Psychurst. I had thought it might be a multiple personality disorder created by Psychurst, but I hadn't entertained any notion of, well, this. I suppose it makes a kind of sense, though. Psychurst knew the changes he wanted to make, but he didn't know much at all about the details of Faultline's life, such as the source of Mr. Tembler's power, or his secret identity, or even about his son. So you see, he didn't know how to change all of that, too. It's going to be difficult to set the record straight on this, but you can just leave all that to me. I think you're going to have your hands full very soon. I just talked to Agent G, and he'd like to see you. So now we get Agent G as our contact, and he is active, so we should be able to do his stuff right now. We've also been entrusted with the secret. The mysterious Menders have noted that you have been exposed in some way to a temporal transference, otherwise known as time travel. Because of this, you have been granted to the Menders access to the Menders Enclave, the headquarters of Ouroboros. So now we can go there. Pretty cool, guys. I think that's enough for today. I think we got a lot done. Heck, we're 3 beads from level 21. Gosh, that is pretty cool. I mean, we should hit level 21 next episode. Maybe we have maybe 2 or 3 episodes before we get our single origin enhancers, and then this character is going. I mean, we're already awesome, but this character is going to rock and roll. I'd like to point out we pretty much effortlessly took out 2 different Redcon Elite Boss +0 bosses. We did not have to reduce the difficulty the way we had with Nightmare Lass, even at level 50. So that shows you the difference between the Brute and the Mastermind, at least the way I have them enhanced. Now, I'm sure other people can enhance them better, but it just shows you sort of the out-of-the-box power of the Brute and how awesome it is. Alright, folks, we're going to stop there. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes on the Rebirth server.